The news and talk of Decatur, Talk 101 FM, Scott and Scott in the morning. Welcome back as we're in the final hour of this Tuesday morning get-together. And right now we head over to the phone lines where we are joined by Rodney Davis, who is running for Congress. And Rodney, welcome back to the program, man.
Hey, Scott. Thanks for having me on again, man.
So where are you at in the world today? Are you traveling the district again?
I am. Yesterday we spent time up in Champaign County and Piatt County and Sangamon County, and now I'm up in Springfield with the Illinois Coal Association. They have a golf outing today. I don't get to golf, but I got to say hi to everybody, and before they kicked off, I just want to congratulate Phil Gannett and the Coal Association for a great outing today.
Well, we want to get into some of the things that are going on in the district, and one of the big things since the last time we talked is the employment numbers coming out, and I think you've been coming out strong in talking about the importance of these numbers and what they mean to this district, with all the metro areas continuing to go up in unemployment over these last few months, and especially since, I believe, 2009.
Yeah, it's pitiful that we got to continue to look at unemployment numbers that go up when there are some simple things that Republicans and Democrats in Washington can do. The first thing they can do is extend the current tax rates permanently so that small businesses actually have the ability to plan ahead and invest in equipment, inventory, and jobs. I'm sick and tired of hearing politicians from both parties talk about how government creates jobs. Government doesn't create private sector jobs, and we need to begin to look at the philosophy to ensure that we provide the certainty that small businesses are crying out for, certainty in their taxes, certainty in their health care costs. And until we do that, we're going to continue to see the numbers rise. The policies over the last 3.5 years have failed miserably, and we have to make some changes.
Rodney, as you talk about, possibly heading off to Washington after the election, one of the things that I know a lot of people are concerned about is Tax-Amageddon and the fact that, we can't get anybody to agree on, the right amount of cuts, the right amount of this, the right amount of that. I mean, as you're looking at this thing, is there going to be any hope in everybody getting along to try to find a solution for this, or is the American public just flat out going to have to hang on to their hat?
Well, I think I've got optimism that we can get things done. I don't think they'll get things done before the end of the year until it's a crisis situation. And unfortunately, I think most Americans would agree that's what's made Congress and both parties actually, act, or these little crisis moments. And I think we can avoid them, and I think we should as a country. I believe we can go out and make the argument that extending these tax rates are going to be able to help kickstart this economy, because employers are going to hire again once they have that tax certainty. But I'm telling you, Scott, most Americans do not realize the impact of the inaction of both parties in Washington and what it's going to have on every single family in America. The average tax increase, if nothing is done, which nothing's being done right now, if nothing is done, is going to be $4,000 on a middle-income family. And I don't think they realize that's going to come right out of their check, because the tax tables from 01 and 03 that were changed revert back. So their employer's going to withhold more. And I don't know any family right now in Decatur or anywhere else that can afford an extra $300-some-odd a month taken off the top of their check.
I certainly can. I know that.
Yeah, I agree. And that's where I don't think I don't think Americans understand the impact of the inaction right now on their pocketbooks. And I feel like Chicken Little sometimes, Scott. I feel like I'm out there screaming, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. But it's going to fall if they don't do something. And that's why it's so important to send somebody like me to Washington that's going to be able to have a say. And instead of just talking about it, I want to act on it.
8:14 here on Scott and Scott in the morning, talking on the phone with Rodney Davis this morning. And Rodney, when you're going around the district, do people get the idea of how dire of a situation this truly is, and the urgency behind the decisions that need to be made?
When I talk to them and explain it, they do. But I just think the American public right now is so turned off by the polarization in Washington that it's just ho-hum to them. They expect people not to get along. They expect things not to get done. And I think they're going to be very surprised when their pocketbook's affected by this inaction.
I just think that's cooperation and action, I think, is got to start creeping into the vernacular more. And when is this government going to learn to quit spending money like it's water? We can't do it at home, and I find it astounding that we tolerate it, out of our politicians in D.C.
Well, they're going to learn when you send people like me to Washington who are willing to stand up and make some of the tough decisions. My opponent has said time and time again that Washington does not have a spending problem. I think that's absurd, and it's indicative of the attitude that's permeated Washington, D.C. for decades. And that's why this election is so important, to ensure that we send people that are fiscal conservatives, going to watch out for the public dollar, put America on a debt repayment plan, which is what we would do in our households when we'd have a debt the size of $16 trillion, which is what America has right now, and it's growing. So when we put some folks in decision-making positions that are willing to stand up and make those tough decisions, show the leadership, then America's fiscal activity will change.
One of the big issues that I know you and your opponent have discussed a lot is healthcare and what we're going to do there. And I know your opponent's become even more in support of Obamacare over the past couple of years as its implementation continues, and has taken some shots at you, saying that you would be very detrimental to the healthcare system. And talk about your policy differences there and what that means to the average citizen here in this district.
Well, a huge contrast between my opponent and me on healthcare. He actually says Obamacare doesn't go far enough. He wants a national healthcare single-payer system, and that will cost $1 trillion more than what the $2.6 trillion price tag that all American taxpayers are on the hook for Obamacare, since it's been codified by the Supreme Court. I believe we need to sell insurance policies across state lines, broaden the groups so that folks have better access to health care, cheaper access to health care, and a more market-based approach to where we put together a true market-based safety net to help those that are uninsured and underinsured and underserved. We have to have that safety net, and I think we can do that and address the true problem at hand for a lot less than the $3.6 trillion my opponent wants to spend. And what that $3.6 trillion will get all Americans is less medical choice, less access to medical service and the tests that we need. And in my opinion, we'll create a two-tiered healthcare system between the haves and the have-nots. And I think it'll be an utter failure that all of us in America will have to pay for and get less.
Well, Rodney, I tell you what, this is I think a big time wake up call. I think for a lot of people. I got to ask you real quick, off campaign a little bit. Did you get a chance to get out and see the movie 2016 when it came out over the weekend?
I have not. I've heard a lot of folks that have, and have gotten different perspectives from each of them, but I've not seen it. How about you?
I did get a chance to see it. It was quite a wake-up call for me, I think. Well, I got to say this. I encourage you to get out and see it. And you know what? As always, my friend, we appreciate you stopping by and visiting with us. And where are you going to be running today again? Springfield?
Actually, in Springfield. I'll be down in Christian County today, then down in the southwestern portion of the district later on.
Let me just say my mother-in-law, who's listening right now, lives on the Assumption-Taylorville Blacktop in Assumption, and she is looking for you to bring a sign by to her at some point.
I will do that. After when we're off the air, give me the address.
I will pull the phone down if you'll wait for just a minute, and I'll give that to you, okay?
Hey, thank you guys very much.
All right, thank you. Hang on just a minute, Rodney. It is 8:18 here on the News and Talk of Decatur, Talk 101 FM. We need